What's up? Welcome back, everybody. Today we're working on our video editor, and the topic for today is quality of life improvements. So, we've been working on this video editor, and the pitch for the thing is, sorry, that's me talking again in the past, but the pitch is, if we have this script on the right-hand side, maybe we can navigate the video faster, right? So the idea is, like, if I want to say, like, hey, I want to include this stuff in the video, maybe I'll click on this maybe, and then I'll hear that stuff, and then I'll click down here and I'll say, like, oh, then I can experiment, and that comes out exactly with where I clicked, right? So this stuff is auto-generated by Whisper CPP, by just like running it through our audio that we've extracted from FFmpeg and feeding it in there. So that's working like okay. I can go into like the timeline here and I can like start to like clip some stuff. So if I say I want this, I want this, I want this, we can kind of like preview that by playing. Questions more often. He jumps around. Great. I don't know if and if I hit save, I can close this and I can run FFmpeg. This script basically parses the save file that has all of the clips that I have in there, and it will run FFmpeg, generate a video. Give it a sec. He's got to think a little bit. He's thinking. And if I play that, the same questions more often. That's something that I've been like thinking about. I don't know if I'm at the very least, I think it's the same things that I clipped and previewed in our editor. So we're getting pretty close to something that is like usable. However, when I try to use it, it's dog shit. And the big reasons for that are that using this script is like quite a struggle. Like skimming it and trying to figure out where, like, how to say this? With no line breaks, it's just like word soup to me, right? Like I need to be able to parse this stuff faster. The whole point was that I'm better at reading words than I am at skimming audio, but this isn't really coming true with the way it's laid out right now. So the first thing I want to do is see if we can find some way to like split this stuff up so that it's like more readable. I'm thinking right now that we'll just kind of like look for dead space in the audio and add line breaks there. Maybe that'll work okay. Maybe it won't. But we'll kind of see how that feels. Another thing that I've found when I was trying to like use this is like I can kind of like move these clips around. But if I like, if I work by, how do I do this? Let's see. Let's delete the existing clips. Delete. So if I will say I want like this sentence. So a pitch from the project is. So I might do something like I might come here and I might like click on this. So the pitch for the project is, and then I might click here and I go, okay, so it's probably like something like this. For the project, it's probably more like this. But then like say I want to like remove this section of audio here that's like kind of dead. I want the ability to like kind of like do the inverse of adding a clip, which is like removing a chunk of a clip by kind of like deleting it here. And then maybe I'll have, tried to remove some dead audio and then been like, oh, you know what? This actually doesn't flow nicely when I listen to it back. So I want to be able to like merge these two clips together. But right now that's not really possible. And then the other thing is like, it's hard for me to find where I am. So if I am looking at this stuff over here, we'll see where it goes. Trying to like find that in the script is like impossible right now. It might be easier once we add line breaks, but maybe either some form of like text search that I can look for what we're looking at, but probably more what's a better solution is like a way for me to like basically track where we are in the video in the script. So maybe by default, we kind of scroll along with this thing. But when I scroll, it kind of like stops doing that for a little bit while I'm like interacting. Maybe it only does that if the last action wasn't interacting with the script. Not really sure yet. But yeah, some way of basically like tracking one with the other. Maybe actually before we do that, maybe it'll become a lot easier if we add some form of progress indicator. Right, because that hasn't been done yet, and maybe that would make it quick, right? If you could see maybe in the scroll bar where the current position is, and then when you like quickly scroll through, you have this like visual indicator, maybe that's good enough. So let's try that. Oh yeah, this is the plan. We're just trying to make it so that like if I were to actually try to use it, it wouldn't suck ass. That's the plan. That's the plan. Chat messages. Hello everybody. Hello. Echo, thanks for the prime. Big appreciate it. What else is going on here? Hello. Line breaks and dead space is a good start. If you delete adding line breaks might be good. I don't understand what that means. If you delete adding line breaks might be good. Oh, you're saying like if it adds too many and I have the ability to like manually go in and adjust it? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I want to highlight the text in the same color as the clip. Yeah, that's not a bad idea as well. Except right now, all clips are the same color. So probably I'm not really sure. I experimented with the idea of like tagging clips with words and colors and stuff. But it turns out that like in practice, there are so many clips that like naming each individual one doesn't really make sense. But I might experiment with the idea later of like clip groups. So I might like create a label and say that I'm creating like 5 clips with this label and then have those all be the same color or something. Then you could like at least like chunk up the video into like chapters or something with that scheme. Not really sure. We'll play with it at some point, but that's for a little bit down the line. Captain Hov, thanks for the prime. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think let's start with line breaks. So we are at 05:45, and let's get some line breaks in there. What's up? Yeah, that's right. That is... I don't know how that started, but it's just, I can't stop now. We have to do it forever. There's no other option. Word timestamp generator is where this stuff lives right now. And so what we do is, where's our like main loop? We have this like thread that starts up when we launch the program. And he basically says, hey, I'd like to like pull some samples from our video. So where's that? Here. He like pulls a sample in from the video by like basically just like walking through and trying to sample the input at 16,000 hertz. Once he fills up this like audio buffer, which we pre-allocate to be like 8 seconds long right now, just for whatever reason, that's just the number he picked. And then once we have a full buffer, we feed that buffer into Whisper, and he generates text for us. We like look at the text and we say, okay, so this is the start and end in both character position and time for each of the each word in the text, and then we just append that text here. So here's what I'm thinking. I think we want some sort of like runtime configurable threshold for where the new lines are inserted. Which kind of means that like on generation, we don't really want to apply it yet, I don't think. There's like kind of 2 options here. One is that we have this like text buffer, and basically every time we change the like dead sample size or something, we rejig this. So we just like, maybe we like, remove all new lines, and then find segments farther than ns seconds apart, and then insert new lines. Well, that seems like kind of fucking stupid to me. Because like the new lines aren't part of the text, if that makes sense. They're kind of like this thing we're tacking on after, and if we're going to be splitting them, how do I say this? If we're going to be splitting the text up frequently, like if I'm going to go through the UI and just like try a bunch of values, maybe it makes more sense to have some sort of like text iterator. And we'll have like some struct iter, and he's going to have like a next API. And he's just going to return some data. Okay. And as well as maybe his like timestamps. So output is like output is something like text, and then segments. Okay, so this is just going to look like what like our actual thing looks like right now, right? So he's going to have some like segment bounds associated with this text. And does that make sense? Maybe it doesn't even have to be an iterator. Because now I'm thinking about, okay, so on the GUI side, we have to click on a character and figure out what timestamp that's associated with. So what we're going to end up kind of with on the GUI side is we're going to end up with like a big list of these like outputs. Right? And so if we were going to ask like, hey, backend, what timestamp is this? How do we know what to ask? Oh wait, that's actually kind of fine. That kind of actually works out because we can write down the lengths of each of these segments. So we can be like, this guy's like 5 long, this guy's 10 long, this guy's 11 long, or 10 long again for ease of use. And then if we're trying to find something in this segment, we can do something like we know that it's 5 plus 10 plus 10 plus offset. And then we don't have to change any of our API. Xnorps, thanks for the prime. So I think that makes sense. So then in that case, like this iterator method, I think works better for the like C FFI. Does it? Let me think about that. So right now what we do, welcome Ginger. Right now what we do is we have like app state. And like on like our Zig app side, he like basically feeds his like internal state over here every once in a while. And then the Rust GUI, we're not going to get into why the fuck we're using a Zig app on Rust GUI. I guess we have to. Zig app because I feel like writing Zig. Rust GUI because I wanted to use this GUI framework. Staple them together, baby. Anyways, so they basically just both call into this every once in a while. And this app state, one of the many things he has in him is just like text buffer. And so if we were to do some sort of like iterator based thing here, this becomes tricky because now we need some sort of like function to call on this thing to like iterate. We could maybe, you know, kind of like make an array of multiple things like this, and which would require like us to do like a new allocation of however many new lines are going to be in there, which is like probably fine. That's not a lot. And then it's simple, like the GUI doesn't have to add any more like function calls back to the Zig side. He just like looks at what's in here. That doesn't seem too awful. Yeah, maybe we try that. Yeah, okay. So that means in our like app thing, when we say we like set our snapshot, we like set this like text buffer here that's just like from the word timestamp map, let's get the current text. And so we just have to adjust that a little bit. And I guess in that case, it kind of makes sense for like the word timestamp map to like own the chain, like the split. So maybe we do something like this: split indices. We use indices here instead of like using the buffers directly, because this is like an array list who, when you push data into him, he's going to like he might run out of room, and then he goes like, fuck, I need more room. And he's like, hey, OS, can I get more room, please? And then, but that ends up in a different spot. So we know pointers are scary here, but indices are a little bit nicer to deal with. And then I guess really in our snapshot, like back to this thing, instead of it being like this, we can just have like split indices here. Splits. Yeah, okay. Then we don't have to like allocate a new thing. All we have to do is like copy over this like split indices buffer, which is easy. Okay, so where are there reasonable gaps? We won't comment. Fuck it. Who needs comments? We'll just forget later and then get mad. Okay. So somebody here, I guess, is going to have to say pub function set something. Set split time, we'll call it. Set split threshold. That seems reasonable. We'll say threshold at which to how much time passes between words before we new line. I forgot to announce my stream in Discord. Did I? I don't think so. I thought I did it earlier, but maybe I forgot to press enter. I'm pretty sure I did it, but I guess maybe not. Okay, so this guy is going to say what? We're going to look at the ourself, and I guess we're going to take in some sort of threshold in seconds. Float 32's probably fine. You don't see in Discord? Fuck. I like opened Discord and typed it out. I guess I just didn't send it, which is oh well. Sorry guys. Sorry. Okay, so this guy's gonna also have to store the split threshold. And does he belong here or here? Like, does like the init thread need this? I guess the init thread could use it as it's like appending new stuff. So it could be that like init thread is going in here. He's like reading text, and he goes like, I've got new text. What do I do with it? And as he's adding new text, he populates the split indices thing, because otherwise we would need to recalculate it from like the other thread every once in a while, every time there's new data. Where this way he can just like do it as he goes, which makes sense. And then if this changes, we like recalculate all of the existing indices, and then he just keeps going from where he is. Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. So it going in like the shared data makes sense there. So he's gonna say, hey, I would like to look at the shared data, and before I do that though, I always have to lock my mutex. Otherwise, I get in big trouble. And I also have to unlock my mutex, or else again I get in big trouble. And then he just says self-shared split thresholds equal to threshold s. And for now, then he's going to, I guess, iterate. Iterate the segments for these things, for each segment. Still with the mutex lock, that's fine. Because otherwise the init thread might be like adjusting this thing as we iterate. That would be bad. We would get in trouble again. So many things to get in trouble with. So this is a segment, and he's gonna have like a start and end time. And so I guess we're gonna actually want to iterate, maybe by index is easier here. So we can look at self. Maybe we do const segments. We alias it just so that we don't have to type as much. So for this, and maybe I even want items here. There we go. Segments len -1. I'm doing -1 because I want to iterate in chunks, in like windows of 2. Then we say const a is equal to segments I. Const b is equal to segments I plus 1. Okay. And then we just say if a dot hello? Why can I not a dot? Why isn't it auto-completing anything? These should be segment bounds, so I guess we'll just try it. If a start or end, I guess, it plus threshold s is less than or equal to b start, we insert a new split. And this split is going to be I plus 1. Right? The new line is associated with the thing after the new line, not the thing before it. I think that makes more sense. That makes more sense to me. At least. Yeah, I think that makes more sense to me. Which means that this thing is now failable. And what's next? I guess before we do any of this, we have to clear this thing. Now, let's think about this. Say we try to allocate a bunch of new split indices, and this fails at some point. Do we, like, if we're going to be good citizens of our program, we should probably make sure that we only ever reassign our indices if we succeed. So it kind of indicates that, like, we should do this all at the end. Yeah, so if we succeed, split indices, we clear the old thing. we say get the fuck out of here. I guess de-init, clear, and free. Which one makes more sense? I guess they're kind of like the same shit, right? If I were to de-init this and then reassign it versus clear and free, I think it's the same thing. I guess with clear and free, I could push, like the allocator doesn't go away. But that's fine. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to de-init this. And then this is equal to split indices. And then I just have to make a new thing. So, stood array list segment bounds in it with self alloc. Yep. Okay. Const split indices, not const var. If we fail, we have to free this thing. Yep. But otherwise, we assign it here, and then we call it a day. And then this guy has to act on the local one. And I think we're chilling. Yeah, I think all that makes sense. Is there anything else to do here? No. Okay, so I guess on the thread side now, init thread, this is the wrong file. But on the init thread, does Zig move in the C++ sense by default? I think that's one of my favorite things about Zig now that I've gotten back into like C style languages like Zig is the fact that moves don't exist. You don't have to worry about it because there's no destructors. The concept of a move doesn't need to happen, right? Because the only reason why you need stood move or like C++ moves is because you want to make sure that your destructor only runs on the thing that matters, right? So if you have like unique pointer int and you say like x equals this, what language is this? This is C++, I should write auto. And then make stood, make unique, I think is how people do this, for something. I don't remember. It's been a second. So like, if you take this guy and then you say, you know, auto y equals x, if there was no such thing as like a move, which there wasn't for a while, right? What would happen is these things would go to scope, and then y would like free the pointer, and then x would free the same pointer. And then you have like a double free. No, bad, right? And so, you know, you have like this now. And what this does is it essentially says like, hey, we have this like crazy like double ampersand type. Shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But there's this like new types of references that basically say like, hey, when I call my move, when I call like this assignment, we're going to say that we have this like special type that tells us, hey, we should like take that everything that was in X before and get rid of it. So when he calls this version of the function, he's going to go like x dot pointer is equal to null. And then when he tries to free down here, he'll go like, my pointer's null, nothing to free. And so like the only reason that you need this stuff is because of this, right? But in Zig, you don't have any like hidden control flow, they call it, right? So there's no destructors that are going to run at the end of the block. You just wouldn't write this line of code. You just wouldn't write, like, because the Zig way of doing this is you'd have like x equals alloc create i32, x equals 4, y equals x, right? And then here you would just you would write like defer x alloc destroy x, but you just wouldn't write that. You would just write alloc destroy y. So all assignments are shallow in Zig. Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. Is like you just do shallow assignments and then it's up to you to do the right thing. And then generally what happens is like you could create like a clone method that does a deep copy. You could create like a de-init function that walks the tree of things and deallocates them nicely. But you just have that control, and so you don't have to worry about like the language fucking you. You just have to worry about you fucking you. And I kind of like that better right now. Even because there's something about the like the responsibility of like, oh, I fucked up versus like C++ fucked me. Those two things just like feel very different. And it's one of the things that pisses me off so much when I'm writing C++ is just, I feel like I can't predict what's going to happen. And of course you can't predict what's going to happen, but you just like forget small details and then just like weird shit happens and you forget. And it's just like, you have to like really dig into the language, where in Zig it's just like, oh, I just didn't do that thing right. You know? Is move from C++ inspired by Rust? No, I don't think so. I think C++ moves came in like C++ 11, and that must have been before Rust was at least big. I'm pretty sure that was pre-Rust 1.0. When did Rust come out? Rust. Do you think I'm gonna get the programming language? Oh, I did. Wow. I actually didn't think I would. Wikipedia. Rust lang Wikipedia. When did this thing come out? First appeared 2015. So surely before. I think you are misunderstanding C++ unique pointers. No. Okay, let's clarify here. I'm saying if there was no move, right? You stood unique pointers. This version doesn't exist. It's impossible because unique pointers cannot copy. They can only move. But I was saying if you did not have moves, you couldn't have a unique pointer that didn't double free. At least without like some sort of like special API. Okay, what were we doing? I got distracted talking about languages again. Hey, thanks, Verifier. That's a nice thing to say. I think move was already a thing when they introduced unique pointer. The problems with earlier auto pointer. I'm pretty sure unique pointer came in C++ 11 with stood move or like with move semantics. I'm like almost positive. We can look this up. Unique pointer CPP reference. Since C++ 11, and I'm almost positive that like move assignment. This came in C++ 11, I'm pretty sure as well. Does it tell me? No, not really, huh? Not really. But like, I mean, I'm like 95% sure that this was C++ 11 as well. Okay. We were doing something, and it was in the init thread. We want to make sure that we respect the line breaks now. So here, when we like append stuff, I guess we just have to append indices as well. So here, we're just going to do this same loop where we like look through segments and apply indices, but we're only going to do it for the segments that we just added. So it's going to look very similar, but not exactly similar. So I don't know if I'm going to want to factor out a function yet. We'll see how it looks like when we finish. But we're basically going to say, we're doing this on a per segment level here. So we could either like stash last segment here. Oh, Fairfire, thanks for the prime, by the way. Thank you. And then like on first iteration, check if not, like set it, and then every other iteration do a comparison. That's bullshit. Don't like that. You can use iterators and pull first segment out early. Or you could like do a second walk at the end. Where you compare in windows. Where what I'm talking about here is trying to like figure out which segments that we are pushing right now have a large gap between them. I think I like this version best. So we'll do something like const var last segment is equal to samples next. Or else fuck. I don't know what to do here. You can't return because you need to do this stuff down here. But you could do this if you could get crazy and we could put this stuff up here before this and do it in defer. I don't know if I don't think I like that. That's like real, that's not easy to follow. What probably makes more sense is to create a function that lets us early return without a problem. I think that makes sense. So we're going to say like function push samples push whisper segments. Yeah. Okay, and he's going to take in the like whisper samples, right? So whisper next returns something, and he's going to take in that thing. So this is segment IT. Segment IT is this thing, and we are going to take it in by reference, I guess, probably. Variables are snake case and functions are camel case and zig. Wild. I mean, they just by convention, right? There's no nothing forcing you to do it that way. But I think the main reason is because it makes it easier to avoid name collision. So they have like types are some type. You have function, which is some type returns some type. And then you have variables, some type is equal to some type, like this. Some type is a some type, which is constructed with this function some type. And so by having different naming conventions for the type, the name, and the variable, you end up with like lack of collision, right? Otherwise, like if you had this some type, then you can't name this variable some type, and that's like fucking annoying. So I think practically it makes sense to have different case naming schemes for different purposes. Okay, so we are going to iterate these segments, and we're going to push them into shared. So I guess we'll just take in shared by reference as well. Yeah. And this is shared. Is that it? Is that just what it's called? Shared? Is that the type name? Yeah, it is. Okay. And then we just kind of do everything in here. So yeah, it's kind of... Actually, we don't even really need to take the segment iterator. We could take whisper. The segment iterator makes more sense here. Yeah, so we will just call here push whisper segments. And we will pass in segment IT. And this should be a seg called segment IT. That makes more sense. I don't know why we called it samples. It's not really a sample. It's like a section of text. So calling it a sample is kind of weird. And what's the other thing? Shared. Yeah, okay. This is certainly failable. I'll be shocked if it isn't. And then just all of this stuff goes in here, but not the resetting of the buffer. Which makes it simple for us to do this. Yeah. Although you could argue that it's kind of a bug if this first thing that we pull out is null. But maybe it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I guess, like, is it a bug or is it just kind of like a little bit of surprise? Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so that makes it so that here we should append that segment. And I guess we have special handling here where we have to check. Oh no, hold on. Var last segment. This, like, even on the first sample, or the first segment for this, like, run, we need to compare with, like, the previous run, right? Because we're, like, doing, like, seconds 0 to 8, and then we're doing 8 to 16. And so to, like, ignore a gap between 8 and... If this, like, if the first thing in this segment comes out at, like, 10, then, like, ignoring that gap is silly. So probably what makes sense is we only pull out the first sample if this thing is empty. So we're going to say shared, if shared segments items len is 0. Then we do this. Const segment is equal to segment IT next, or else, jeez. It's hard, man. Typing's hard. And then here we can initialize the last segment with shared segments items, shared segments items len -1, because now it's guaranteed to be greater than 0. And then we can just do this and we can compare with the previous thing. Do you have multiple buffers open in NeoVim, or is it multiple panes of a terminal multiplexer? Multiple buffers in Vim. I use Vim buffers a lot. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. I just use them. And then all we have to do here is we just have to say, instead of doing A and B in this like loop here, we just have to say if last segment end is less than or equal to segment start, then we add the thing. That seems really straightforward, actually. Split indices doesn't exist here. Shared. Yeah, okay. And is that it? He doesn't like this like undeclared segment IT, so this probably has to be like whisper runner segment iterator, probably. he doesn't like that sample text doesn't exist here, so we have to call this segment text. And here we're just calling this segment iterator, and whisper. I see why we named it that now, because we didn't want to get confused by our like converted segment or segment and that segment, but it's okay. We'll just do this. Whisper segment text. There we go. We don't have a threshold test, but I think that comes from shared. Split indices dot append I+1 doesn't make sense anymore, but I think that we can just say that it's shared segments items len -1. So if we just pushed in the second element at index 1, then the new line is like associated with index 1, which I think makes sense. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Yeah. And then here on each of these guys, we have to say last segment is equal to segment. There we go. I wonder how smart the compiler is. I wonder if in release, if it's smart enough to like ping pong between two different memory locations so that it doesn't have to do this copy at the end. I'm sure it doesn't actually fucking matter, but I just was like, I don't know, it popped in my head. I'm curious now. But not enough to look it up. Do you know any good resources on where to start with the FFmpeg API? Just read the examples, man. Like, demux, decode, see. I think that the docs are shit. But if you look at this demux decode example, at the very least, they're calling the functions that you would want to call. And then ffplay in the ffmpeg repo is also going to call the things that you want to call. That's kind of where we went through it. Because, yeah, I don't think reading the docs is, like, frustrating to some extent. Oh, dude, off stream, I hit this bug where I was trying to upgrade to ffmpeg 7, and I fucked. Oh no, that wasn't it. It was I can't remember, but I accidentally called av format find stream info. I accidentally called this function twice, which you would think is not a big deal, right? Because like, what in here would ever tell you that you can't fucking do that, right? You would just think that it would reinitialize something that has already been initialized with the same data. It would just be wasteful. But this resulted in a seg fault because inside your AV format context, not in a variable you can see here, in the fucking C style inheritance, you kind of do something like this where you like have like a big thing A and then a smaller thing B inside. And then if you like hand out references to B as a pointer, you can like figure out where A is based off of B, right? So you can say like, oh, B is like 10 bytes into A. So if I do like B minus 10, I now have A, and I can like do stuff with like the other data in here. So what they do is in AV format find stream info, which you have to call, by the way, to get the stream info. They have some sort of like context pointer in here, and they just like use it. They look at all the stream info, and then they fucking free this pointer. And then if you call the function again, you're just like dereferencing null pointers, or like not null pointers. You're dereferencing pointers that point to invalid memory. And then your program just like fucking crashes. And you're like, I spent like so long debugging it. I built ffmpeg from source, ran with GDB, set watch points on the variable to figure out where the fuck it was ever being modified, found it was free, and I was like, why the fuck are they freeing this? And then found it was in the function that I was calling, and I just accidentally called it a second time. But it's like, oh my god, man. Like, what, like, so all I'm saying is, the docs don't say that, right? And which is like, when I write software, I don't write good docs either. But I would like reading the docs of ffmpeg as the mechanism for which you learn to implement. It's like, you're just not gonna get everything. So like source code, examples, ffplay, like what you're gonna have to go through is my opinion on it. Okay. Distracted. The docs should don't call it twice. Yeah, they should. That would be great. But, I mean, they don't, and that's not something that is in my control. Well, maybe it is in my control, but not to the point where I want to change it, right? Like, I'm not going to go file a PR to fix the docs. because I'm a lazy piece of shit. But you know, it's like you can control what you can control. You're on FFmpeg 7. I think I'm on 6 right now because that's what's in the Nix repos. But I tried with 7 briefly when I was experimenting with self compilation. It was okay. Like nothing heavily broke. Okay, so here, wherever the fuck we were, we push the whisper segments. Oh, actually here we can use that same function now, which is kind of cool. So we do segment IT, and then we just do the same function again. And then all this goes away. And I think we're chilling. So we need to set the initial value to something sane, probably. Split threshold. So where do we construct shared? Shared from init data. Const default split threshold is an F32 of half a second, 1 second. How long are there, like, how often am I leaving a 1 second gap in by talking? I guess we'll just try it and see what happens. Split threshold is equal to default split threshold. I guess maybe it makes more sense to just actually assign it here. I can do that, so why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Okay. And then I guess it kind of makes sense as well for us to write down the split threshold when we save the file, right? Because like if we pick a threshold and then save and then close and open the project, we want the same thing back. So our like save data should have a split threshold. That's an F32. And then we just slap that in here. Split threshold, yep. And then when we recreate this guy from init data, yeah. Side note, for those of you who were watching yesterday, I bit the bullet and wrote a little parser that does like some kind of aggressive logging for when things go wrong. So we were talking about yesterday using like the stood JSON way of like you feed it a struct and say, hey, can you parse this struct for me? And I didn't like that because it doesn't log nicely on failure. Like when it fails, it just says like, oh, missing fields. And you're like, well, what's the missing field? So I just kind of like banged up my own shitty version of this that throws like has some logs as it's parsing. So he like walks the struct and he goes like, oh, is this a float thing? Let me check if it's a float. And if it's like, oh, I tried to parse the float and it didn't fail, I failed to parse the float. And then he's like, I failed to parse the float. And then he says, oh, the field failed to parse this thing for this struct field in this struct, which is kind of nice. In fact, we can probably demo it right here because it's going to get mad that we don't have a field in our struct from the previous version of the schema, I guess we can call it. We have no schema upgrade, so get fucked us. Word timestamp generator 368. He's mad about something. He says split indices doesn't exist, but here, split indices is equal to split indices, and then I guess we have to alloc that thing. Split indices, and then the thing is a usize here. And then down here we also need to do split indices equals split indices. All right. I think we're chilling. Oh, we have to adjust that thing too. Split indices is parsed from split indices, which kind of means that we have to write down the split indices. Do we need to? Does it make sense to just recalculate them on start, or should we just write them down? Like the writing them down is kind of useless. Yeah, I think I'm not going to write them down. I think I'm going to pull them from the parsed threshold. And then just when we load, we'll just rerun our shared from init data. We can just rerun our thing. Yeah, so I think we can just call set split threshold. I don't think there's a problem there. I don't think. We'll find out. So we say var ret is equal to this thing, which is whisper. Then we call ret set split threshold with shared split threshold. And probably we have to do a little bit, we have to get a little clever here. We have to do like shared mutex lock, shared mutex unlock. Is this thing failable? No. Const split threshold is equal to this. And then we can call it like this, because he's going to relock the mutex underneath. That's like, I guess, the technically correct way to do it. Let's see what happens. Fuck. Error is ignored at 313. Okay. Fine. Fine. Type is wrong at 354. What is it complaining about? Does not support indexing. Why? Type pointer to segment bounds does not support indexing. Oh, am I just supposed to copy this thing? I guess it is a pointer, so I can just do this. Okay. Expected type segment bounds found usize at split indices dot append I plus 1 at 358. Because this should be usize, of course. Then it expected this thing found that thing at line 216. So this should be segment dot push whisper segments. Oh, we need to construct our segment out of the thing. Okay. So this is the whisper segment. Okay. And then no field name text in segment at 225. So this should be whisper segment here. And are we chilling? No, we're never chilling. We are never chilling ever. Ever, 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 ever. Split indices, append. Why doesn't he like that? No field, threshold S, and shared. Oh, is it just called... Why not? Oh, it's called split threshold. That's a weird... I kind of want that to be, at the very least, called split threshold seconds. At the very least. At the very least. This now has to be like this. And then probably in this version, we also want this to be split threshold S. Just for clarity. Just for clarity. 346. This needs an S on it as well, because the rename in the language server doesn't cover those, like, I guess, like inferred structs. Oh, so here we're demoing the nice little errors. So he says, field split threshold S is not present in JSON data for word timestamp generated save data. Isn't that sick? That's so much better than it just saying missing field. Because now I can just go fix it. Because I can just open test JSON. And in here, I can just say split threshold S is 1.0. Yo, it's sick. Okay. Now the question is, do we see any new lines? No. Should we see some new lines? Maybe. Let's check if that code is running. At the very least. Oops, memory leak. That's not good. That's not good at all. I shouldn't write memory leaks. We've never written a memory leak in our lives. And we will never write another one in our lives. This is the only one ever, actually. Probably it's that we didn't free this thing. Oopies. The pros and cons. Okay. Okay. So why are there no splits in here? Let's check that the code is running, right? So on init, we call set split threshold. And can we just at least log, like, I smiley face? This should get spam. We should see a lot of smiley faces. Yo. Yeah, okay. So you did do it, and it just must be that nothing was above the threshold. So can we, like, try reducing the threshold and see what happens? Test JSON. So if we change this to, like, 0.1, out of curiosity, just to see. Oh, wait, we're not rendering it. Yo, what's up, what's up, what's up? Right, we're not fucking doing anything with it. So, of course it's not doing anything. Of course. Let's log the split indices just to see if it looks kind of sane. Stood debug print split indices. Indices is any of split indices. Yo. Okay. So we did get some, not a lot, right? This is a pretty short list for how much text there is in here. But it's something. Okay. Okay. So I guess on the GUI side, we should do something with these. So here we'll say that we are at 50 minutes in. Holy fuck. And we're looking at show line breaks in UI. I think I went with 0.7 seconds. Oh, you've done this already. Nice. Git add -u, git commit -m smiley face. I'll fix it later. Just so you guys don't think. I just need to prove it. I need to prove it. Guys, it's not like I'm fucking committing smiley face messages. I want to make it clear that I do not support bad git commit messages, right? These have valid commit messages with valid descriptions. I just don't do that part on stream, okay? We don't have to flame me for writing smiley face on every commit, okay? I needed to get that off my chest, or else I would think that you guys might think that I think it's okay to write smiley face. I know it's not okay. I'll just fix it later. Everyone in chat, smile. Okay. Right, so let's look at the Rust side. We need to basically adjust the text rendering. Oh, wait, we don't even send these things over to the GUI side yet. So that's in app.zig. We say set snapshot. And here we're going to have to add like a new line breaks thing. This is const usize. And if we have this comes from line split indices. So I guess we'll call this split indices. Text split indices, I guess. And in here we'll say text split indices is equal to text split indices. Boom, 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 boom. Then over here, when we set the snapshot, we clone the snapshot that we brought in, and he is going to have to duplicate these indices so that we don't have like so like word timestamp map has like data who is accessed by like its init thread. Right, so these guys are both talking to this guy. Then, like, when we snapshot, we also talk to this guy. So all of these guys have to, like, lock a mutex. Right? Which means that, like, what we do is while the mutex is locked, we copy this stuff out and then unlock the mutex. Just so that, like, there isn't, like, large mutex contention in general, right? So that's why we have to copy this shit. So this is text split indices is cloned from text split indices, and this is also text split indices, and then ret text split indices is equal to text split indices. Boom, 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 boom. And then here we also have to say text split indices is const usize. Okay. Then we have like this like internal zig representation of these things which have nice little slices, but then when we send them over to the Rust side, they need to be converted into like C representation, which means that we have to take our slices and we just have to say text split indices is the pointer, but then he also has a len. So we pull that out here, and then when we try to free our like copied stuff from the Rust side, because okay, so over here we have like the GUI thread, and he gets a snapshot from here. Snapshot. Which has this stuff in it. So he copies the data out here, and then he copies them again over here, and then the GUI frees it from over here. Because again, we have like the same problem here that we had over here, where like two threads are going to be updating the same stuff, and so we have to like clone the stuff in and clone the stuff out so that the mutex is only locked for a short amount of time. You know? And so we have to, when we deinitialize this thing, we have to come from the C representation into the zig representation, so that we can free it nicely. So this is just this. Oops. But this is no longer text. This is text split indices here and here, and then here we have to free that thing. Okay. Some people may be watching this and they may be saying, this is why we don't like fucking writing Zig, and we want to write Rust or C++. And I would say that's a reasonable thought. But I'm not you, and so I don't have that same thought, but it's a reasonable thought. So here we have text split indices that has to go into the C API, and its length, and this thing is going to be, we don't really have usize, I don't think, in standard int. So we actually might want this to be uint64, just to disambiguate. This is mostly the fault of the FFI, no? I mean, some of it is. The fact that we have to think about, like, cloning and freeing through mutex protection and stuff, that problem just kind of, like, goes away. Like, this one is from the CFFI, but this one is not. So, somewhat because of C, but not entirely. Does standard int have usize? Man stood int. Is that, like, oh, hell, it isn't there. So, uints, you have the doctor handwriting in that, like, it's illegible. Dude, it's gotten so much worse. It's actually, like, so bad. When I write stuff down, I realize that I can't read it. And what I do is I use it as a memory trigger for the things that I remember hearing. And it's just like, that's so fucking stupid. That's so broken. I should have just learned to fucking use a pencil, like, at some point in my life. But just, like, my whole life, I'm just like, I can't read. Okay. Why is it easy to understand why I do something, but when I try to implement something on my own, it turns incredibly difficult? That's actually, like, such high praise. It's like I shouldn't say high praise, but it's like very how do I say this? That's like what I want to present. Like the fact that I'm taking something that is like difficult for some people to do and articulating it well enough that you're watching and you're just going like, yeah. That's like super sick. Like, unfortunately, I think that kind of like the problem with this, with like, I think educational content in general, which I'm not claiming that I'm like educational content. I'm not really sure that that's the bucket I fall under, but I think the problem with like educational content in general on YouTube and stuff is that you think you get something, you're kind of like trick yourself into thinking you get something. But then as soon as like you're pushed on it, you really don't understand it at all, right? So you like watch some Veritasium video about Fourier transforms and you go like, oh yeah, I fucking get Fourier transforms. And then you like go and sit down and you're like, no, I don't get Fourier transforms. And so I think that's like a major problem because people think it's like I think it's important in general to have like a good grasp of what you know and what you don't know. And I don't like this like world where you now think you know something and you don't, and now your like gauge of your own ability is like wrong. So I don't know what to do with that. But I'm saying that because you're like, why is it like this? And I'm like, well, you just have to do it, right? You just have to try, and eventually by doing, you pick up the skills you need, right? I'm not saying that you have skill issues. I'm saying that like things take practice. And I think it's cool that at the very least I'm articulating things in a way that they make sense. But it's unfortunately you do just have to like put in the time as well. Okay. So text split indices is in here. We free it. Everything's happy. And I think we have enough. Oh, we were going to fix the fact that we don't want it to be usize here. We want this to be U64s. So that we can use this stuff on this FFI side. Okay. Which kind of gets a little tricky now. Because the split indices here are usizes. But I guess we can just use them as U64s here as well. And then we don't have to worry about any like type conversion. And well, that probably won't compile, so we'll just kind of figure out what goes on. It's frustrating sometimes, I must say. I feel the same way when I watch people do things and then try to do them myself. I was watching Virtual play Trackmania, and then I booted up Trackmania, and I was like, holy shit, I'm ass. Like, it makes me so mad. I'm like, I should be able to fucking do the best of anybody in the world because I watched somebody on the internet who's the best in the world. And then, like, then I suck, and I'm like, why am I shit? And it's like, oh, it actually makes a lot of sense. But it is frustrating. It is frustrating because you trick yourself into thinking that you are that guy, and you're just not. Not you, like, you know. I'm saying you as in me, not you as in you. Maybe you are that guy. It's WSD. Must be easy. That's why I'm not gaming anymore. Yeah, it's just more fun to watch YouTube. This needs to be a U64 as well. A bunch of these are kicking around. Oh, you fixed the slow program closing from the latest video? Yeah, somebody at the end of stream pointed me in the right direction, and then I was like, that doesn't make sense. And then I went off stream, and then I looked and was like, oh, that's exactly the right thing to do. So yeah, we got there. We got there. Is watching Pose playing Fortnite. It makes me want to play. Yeah, dude, it's exactly. Fuck. I also installed Fortnite again the other day. I used to play like so much Fortnite. I was like, okay, not great, but like okay. And then I like hurt my wrist because my edit key was on tab, and when you're spamming edit at like rapid pace with your pinky all day every day, you're just kind of like inducing RSI at like maximum speed, right? You're just like speed running, getting RSI. So I had to stop playing video games on mouse and keyboard altogether because my like wrist just kind of hurts too much overall from like if I like code all day and then game with my pinky, it's just like fucked up now. So I like switch a controller, and I spent like 2 weeks just grinding edit courses on my controller, and I'm just like so angry every time I boot the game up because it's like I'm just not there. I'm not where I used to be, and I watch people play on the internet, and they've like gotten so much better than I ever was, and it's just like, oh, I'm so mad all the time. All the fucking time, man. Why does everything I do piss me off? This guy needs text split indices equal to some nothing thing. What else is he bitching about? Const U8 found const U64. So somewhere I just fucked up the tab again. This should be U64. Found usize, or expected usize found U64. Text split. Where is this coming from? So this guy, U64, this guy should also be U64. Did I not save this? What is he complaining about? Oh, is it because of, oh, it's the length is a U64 and he doesn't like that. So here I have to int cast. Okay, okay. What did I fuck up there? Int cast. Are you on a split keyboard? Nope. No, I'm not. He still doesn't like that. Expected integer vector found pointer to const U64. Oh, I'm just an idiot. Text split indices len. And then do I still need the int cast here? No, okay. Expected this, found that, so at 199, this guy is supposed to be items. Did you check the shutdown atomic while in the while loop to skip the last whisper call? It's here, we'll just show you. We'll just show you. So whisper allows you to feed in this like abort callback. So in the middle of its full loop, it will call this function at like every step of the loop, and if your function returns true, then it will go, okay, I'll stop now, okay. So that's all we had to do. That's all we had to do. How are you not getting RSI then? Just like views? I just stopped playing Fortnite. That just like fixed the problem. Which is a little sad, because that game's so fucking fun, man. What a fun game. Yo, but what's up? Okay. So everything builds. And we just have to go into the GUI side. Actually, not just Fortnite. I can't play like any first-person shooter mouse and keyboard anymore. It just hurts. That's because of gaming, I see. Well, I think it's a combination of like coding all day, then gaming all day after. Right? If I just cut one of them, then it would be fine. Okay, so here, when we lay out the text, when we lay out the text, what are we going to do? We are going to chunk by section, and we probably have to lay out each section independently. Because that way we don't have to like copy the data, which is like maybe we could copy it. Maybe that's not the end of the world. But like the early optimizer in me wants to just kind of like lay out each section independently and then stagger them. So here we have this galley, which is this thing. We lay out our job. And I guess what we need to do here is we could make a layout job that has a bunch of sections in it. That's probably the easiest. Hey, LCQ. Hello, hello. So the way that like this like eGUI stuff works is they have like an array of like jobs. Job. And these are, I can't remember if they're applied to the same input string or if you can like pass multiple strings to the same job. So let's take a look at that. Because like what happens then is you have this like layout job that has like a bunch of text associated with it, with like different font sizes, different colors, etc. And then you can like lay out that whole job at once in one big ass galley. So we might be able to leverage that to just like inject new lines between sections of text without having to do any work. So eGUI docs rs. And we can look at layout job. And so how does this work? We have layout sections that have formats. And it doesn't look like we can like inject stuff in there. So it looks like the layout job itself has one string. So I guess we probably want to split up the strings. Also kind of like interestingly, this is string with a capital S. So we are kind of like guaranteed to just copy all of the text while we do this. It is guaranteed, and like maybe we just don't have to worry about it. Break on new line. So I guess we could, if this is how it works, if he's like, we're going to copy the whole thing anyways, we could just copy it and inject the new lines ourselves. But that'll make it kind of hard to go backwards from like text position to pixel position. Because the API to the like Zig side is to say, hey, I have like character 153. Could you tell me what timestamp that is? And so if we have character 153, like it'll become 154 if we put a new line in between before it. So it would be kind of nice to kind of keep that text mapping. That would be nice. So I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense to create multiple layouts. Oh, wait, what does this do? What happens when you append a job? What does this do? What does this do? Oh, it just like appends it to the text. Okay. Yeah, okay. We'll just lay out multiple things. You stopped gaming, but RSI was still showing up working, and so that's why I was wondering how it was working for you. Yeah, I think just for me, I just like caught it early enough. Maybe I'm just lucky. Maybe it's not RSI. I don't know. Who knows? Because yeah, I hear that like once it really sets in, you're just kind of like it's really hard to deal with. Is what I've heard. Okay, so maybe we do layouts plural, and we do something like for I and 0 to state text. What do we call them? What did we call them? Text split indices len. We're going to do something. I don't know what yet, but we're going to do something. So we're going to look at the index. Let idx is equal to text idx is equal to state text split indices add I empty reference. And then what? State text split indices. Oh, we have the index. So then we're going to look at we have our like text as a string here. So we can do something like s from 0 to text idx. We can't just do this. We kind of need to like break out early. We need to break out early. Or not break out early. So we need to like start at wherever the previous text index was. So can you do like Windows 2? Is this how this works? Can you do like A, B, like this? And then start, end. That's actually not how this works either. Because the first one, I think that our thing starts at like 5, 10, 15. I think 0 isn't in here. We don't have a new line at 0. So instead, what maybe makes sense is we say let mute last idx is equal to 0. Then we do this stuff. Then we do this stuff. Then we come from last idx to text idx and say text idx equal to last idx. And then we have to create a layout job with that thing. So we do this. But we do it from here. Right, so we take this section and we create our layout job, and then we must have to put this somewhere. So we're gonna say that our layout jobs is like a mutable vector, and then we can say layout jobs push layout, or maybe we just store the galleys, and then we also run this as well. And then we have galleys push this thing. Maybe? Okay. Then we have to iterate galleys here. So I guess it makes sense. Maybe for now, we'll just allocate responses over and over again. So here we'll just say for galley in galleys. I think that's how you do it in this language. And then basically everything that we were doing here, we'll just do in a loop. And all we have to do now is we have to maybe stash along with the galley. We have to stash the like character position. So here we just stash last idx. And then galley start index. Yeah, that seems reasonable. And then car pause. Now it just gets car pause plus equals start idx. Maybe that might be it. That might work. That'd be crazy if it worked, but it's possible. Okay, so lots of stuff going here. So we need to cast our U64s into U sizes. Does anybody understand why the fuck does U size exist? I like understand that on like 64-bit platforms, it's a 64-bit integer, and on 32-bit platforms, it's a 32-bit integer. But like, is it just because they don't like they want it to fit in one register so that when you index a thing, oh yeah, okay, probably like the assembly instructions for pointer operations probably work in the register unit. So if you're trying to say like I want to index this array at this distance, like if you had to store that in 2 registers, you would have to do some sort of like funky bullshit, I guess, compatibility. But like I don't really understand, like, yeah, there was a piece of me in there that didn't understand why you couldn't just use 64-bit ints on 32-bit machines for indexing. Like it seems like unrelated to the architecture. I guess like for a while, 32-bit machines also had a maximum memory size of 32 bits, like 2 to the 32. But that's not true anymore because with like, what do they call it? Some sort of like extension. I can't remember. It starts with a P. PAE, physical address extension, maybe. But anyways, it's fine. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's funny that somebody in chat is also talking about being 32 years old, and when I'm skimming chat looking for 32-bit stuff, it's like my brain's like, oh, I can't handle two numbers that would mean different, or the same number meaning two things. It's too hard. Okay, so we were at the point where this thing is U64, and we just have to do somewhere. Try into unwrap. Is there anywhere else that's a problem? Of course it is. Of course it is. It's here. Let I usize to I try into unwrap. That just makes things simpler. And then this thing doesn't have copy, so font ID, which is now being used in many iterations of a loop, needs to be cloned. Fine. Fine. And then text IDX equals last IDX cannot assign. I had it the wrong way around. It's last IDX equal to text IDX. User space still only sees 2 to 32 memory bytes on 32-bit platforms, even with PAE. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay, does it look like we're line breaking? Oh, maybe. I mean, it doesn't look like we're line breaking at anywhere that's reasonable. Actually start like clip. Actually start. You're a dog or like. What is going on here? Like the fastest path to dog fooding, using your own stuff or eating kibble, depending on if you're a dog or like a person. Yeah, it feels like it's off. It feels like it should be like here. Using your own. Okay, so we've got something. We got something. Oh, also embedded devices. Oh yeah, I guess some people really are like 16-bit, huh? Yeah, I'm not really convinced that this is splitting at the right spots. Let's just double check that like the mapping is still correct though. So do I hear widget when I click here? That audio widget. That audio widget. Widget. Maybe it's a little off, but maybe that's normal. Indicate to back to E. Now indicate. Yeah, I think that that's working. It could be that the token, like the splits, might be mid-word. So it'd be interesting to maybe look at the actual data. And what's like the simplest way to do that? Depending on if you're a dog, top inclusive educational content. I think I was talking about dog fooding, which is just like a stupid fucking term. I used to threaten my boss and tell him that I would report him to some labor board because he made me eat kibble at work. And he's like, well, you have to eat it. You have to eat the kibble. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't tell me I have to eat the kibble. I have to do it on my own. What a funny term. Okay, yeah, let's see. I don't know what I want to see. I want to see something. I want to see maybe in the whisper side, word, timestamp generator. Maybe we log the segments that we calculate here in set split threshold. So maybe we'll go and we'll say let last not let in this language, var last split it index is 0, just like we're doing on the other side. And we'll say for self shared split indices dot items, we have split index, and then let's just std debug print the things at those indices. So then at least we can bisect if it's like a Rust bug, like a Rust / FFI bug, or an actual split calculation bug, or maybe not a bug at all. We won't be able to rule that out, but we'll at least know what it thinks is correct at this point. So this is going to be some string with a new line, and it's just going to be self shared text from last split index to split index, and then last split IDX equals split index. Easy. Of course, he doesn't like that because he's a comp time int, and you can't modify a comp time int How dare you? How dare you? Is there a meaningful way to debug this visually? Not really sure. Not sure. Okay, so here, he's splitting at and you know in the middle of the word you. So if this is a bug, if it is a bug, it is at the source. So at the very least, we have confirmation that this part is working correctly. It would be interesting to look at the tokens that come out. We can just print the tokens. And that will give us another clue. Another clue for sure. So let's... Where were we printing here? Let's just tack on the same shit. For self-shared segments, we have segments that came out of Whisper. And we can just say that we want to print the segment bounds. So we'll say start, end. Yeah. And then we'll print the thing. So this will be a segment. This is a segment singular. That makes more sense. And here we're going to look at self-shared text items from segment car start to segment car end. +1 maybe? I'm not sure if the car end is inclusive or exclusive. Which is something that I should be aware of, to be honest. Length plus length seems like it's exclusive. Fuck. I always forget to write items when working with arrays or array lists. I forget every goddamn time. Every time, man. Yo. Okay. So, let's 2 and 1 less. Okay. So, before we were seeing something like a big break in mid-word in you. But it would be nice to... Yo, what's up? This is in after Pacific time on Twitch if you want to sing by. What? Swing by? Oh, swing. Swing, and the W, I didn't enunciate it well enough. Okay, so it's after sing by and yo. Sing. Sing by and, you know... So it doesn't look like this is doing the right, is this splitting at the right spot, right? Like, we're not getting mid-word shit in here. Let's just double check. Pacific time on Twitch, if you want to sing by, yeah. And so, like, this is where we're seeing that split, which is just in, like, the wrong spot. And what's interesting is that we're using the same indexes to split here. Yo, what's up? Maybe. Yo, what's up? Yo, what's up? Shut the fuck up, me. I should fucking start it muted. It's too much. Okay, so it's the split indices. These come from where? Oh, I'm just an idiot. We just need to write B start here. We were splitting at the segment, not the text itself, right? Because we've got like 3 levels of indirection here, I think, maybe. Right? You have like segments who have indices into text. And then we're iterating these segments, and then we have split indices. And when we're constructing these, we were iterating these guys, and then storing their indexes here, but we were supposed to be looking at this thing and then storing this index in here. So, I think that's fine. I think it's fine. I think that's the bug, to be honest. Fuck! Start. Oh, thank God there's different types. Because I just used the timestamp instead of the character index. That would have sucked as well. Okay. Yo, what's up? Okay, so let's now see if this correlates with the thing. So thought is that I can read. There's actually just missing words in here, which is kind of funny. So like it just didn't get this word, but that is a big gap. Okay. These are just too long, right? But it's possible. So we have like the audio widget rendering. Why isn't there a line break here? Why did it crash? Whoa, 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 what the fuck just happened? Aborted, core down. What the fuck? Yo. What the fuck was that? What the fuck? It's possible. So we have like the audio widget rendering. It's possible. So we have like it's just missing all of this, which is weird. Is here. And then why isn't there a gap here? Right, like timestamp wise, it's very aware that these are 3 seconds apart. Because you can see it jumping as I drag the cursor, and you can see the how do I say this? What the fuck was that? What the fuck just happened? While indexing this thing, I'm just like I'm indexing invalid characters, which is like missed start of the clip. I had to add noise floor to make my reset work properly. Makes sense. Is it always the same caps? Could be a timing issue. I think the fact that when I'm hovering that thing, I'm getting invalid indices here is like an indicator that I'm doing something really fucking stupid. I just don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Can we see if okay, let's rm test JSON. I was confused earlier about an add I when I thought you wanted to index into something. It's because pointer arithmetic in Rust is like a pain in the ass. And so you kind of have to do it that way. There is a bug now, so where it crashes on if the save is empty. So let's just look at frame 6. Oh, it's because this is like a p segments len is 0. Yeah, so we just have to do saturating sub there. Which is fine. Saturating sub, please. There we go. Yo, what's up? Okay, shut the fuck up. Dead space and like being able to shut up. Okay, and we're actually not seeing anything here anymore. Oh, because the fucking GDB is just spamming thread messages, and so the thread's just taking forever. So we'll just leave GDB, I guess. Yo. Oh no, wait. Error. Save file is invalid JSON. Failed to load save. Okay, that's fine. Split indices. That's also fine. Why the fuck is our init thread not running? Oh, is it because we have no split thresholds? Set split threshold. Like if we have no splits, then we don't. There's something about like if we have no segments where there's like a big gap, then we will have an empty split threshold list, and if we iterate those to render, then we have a problem. So we kind of need to keep like our 0 and text max. These need to like be injected manually. So if we go into librs, we just have to do one more of these iterations to the text line at the end of all this. So we just do text IDX, last IDX, I guess, to S line. And then we push layout job. Yeah. I don't know if that's the only place where we fucked up, but that's definitely at least one place where we fucked up. Yeah, okay. That's better. Implementation. Bit of like a fancy timeline implementation. So, and, you know, we upload those videos. Yeah, something, okay. Okay. So, the question is, do I think it's doing something reasonable? That's something that I've been, like, thinking about. That's something that I've been, like, am I off by one? Bye. And, you know, we upload, maybe. I might be off by one. Is there no more fucking new lines? What the fuck? Want to swing by, and you know, we upload those. Yeah, so if I'm one word off here, that would make sense. Doing it, and it'll be more fun. So the thought is, it'll be while I'm doing it, and it'll be more fun. So there's no real excuse. There's no real excuse here. Let's do the. Can we print them out again? Oh fuck! I had to say. I have to hit save so that on the next iteration, it will parse these things at load, and then we can log them. So let's just wait for it to give some amount of shit. Maybe let's also visually make it a bigger line break so that it's easier to parse. Because I think that if it happens to line up towards the edge, we won't see it. So can we do something like on every iteration of this loop, just like UI allocate space? Is that what we can do? eGUI allocate space. Yeah, okay. So here it's just eGUI vec2 0.0 and like 10 pixels or something. I don't give a shit. I just want like something. Yo. There we go. So here we have that gap. Okay. And then here, it doesn't actually look like there's any gaps in what it parses. So maybe it's just the threshold's too large. But also this doesn't look like all of the text. Am I high? Oh, because it's honestly seems like you're missing starts a sentence now, which is new behavior. Maybe. Today we're working on blah blah blah. I'm actually gonna do it, but we have to try and sorry, blah 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 words. Tried opening stream. This doesn't look like it's missing anything. But I wonder if the rendering is this matching? It's so hard to fucking read. It's not even a thing about blah blah. I think this is the same. What's going on here? While I'm doing it, and it'll be more fun. So the thought is, yeah, just missing the thought is here. Okay, let's save and then reload. Yo. Okay. Yeah, I am just missing the thought is here that I can read faster, which is kind of odd. Is it in here? Read. I can read. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, it is just missing this stuff. I mean, it could also be because I switched models, so I'm using kind of like the shitty model intentionally now. So that could also be a part of it. Okay. Let's try lowering the threshold, and maybe that'll give us another clue. So how do we... Here, if we just say like 0.5. Yo. Do the splits. Oh, what the fuck? Fatal runtime error. Begin is less than end when slicing. 11314 is less than 2818 at 656. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? This is making it seem like... So here he's saying that the output index is small. Like I'm at like 11.374 and it's then doing 2818 at this line. Which is means that this text index that's coming out is not sorted, which shouldn't be possible. I mean, clearly it's happening, but it shouldn't happen. Because when we construct these split indices, we do it by walking forwards. Oh, did I fuck up? Maybe I only fixed the maybe I only fixed the bug where I was using the segment index. I might have only fixed that in one spot. Split indices. Yeah, here we go. I didn't fix it here. So here we should put segment start, segment car start. Yep. And is that the only other one? Oh, you don't have to apologize for trying to use common Twitch lingo. I'm just a lazy piece of shit and haven't set up any commands, but you're totally fine to expect them to be there because they're in everybody else's chat. Don't worry about it. Okay, is that... Okay. Maybe a chatbot project? Yeah, I should do that at some point. Okay, so auto-generated from some sort of like neural net. I'm doing it and it'll be more fun. So the thought is that I can... This one makes sense to me. This line break makes sense. Does this one make sense? Generated from some sort of like neural network. Since it doesn't have this from in there, it like kind of makes sense that it would skip that. This is 95 to... That's like 0.5 seconds. We're working towards that. I think the next... Again, like it's skipped an and so that makes the distance between words much higher. I think the next steps here are like... Can we just like rip through waveform on the bottom? We should be able to like implement some sort of UI that lets us like drag and drop like a left and right. Where am I? I got lost. I wasn't paying attention. Oh, we're here. Sort of UI that lets us like drag and drop like... So like why is drop and like this is a gap. This is a gap that's longer than 0.5. So why is this not doing anything? And you know what we should do? You know what we should do is when we click on a word here, let's log the PTS that we clicked. That should make this easier to debug. I think that's important. So we'll just say that on response, when we do our like PTS conversion, we'll just log this. Print line PTS this thing. F? No, we don't write the numbers in this one. We just write it like this. Okay. So here we have fun at 78.84 and here we have at 72. So that's like a reasonable split. And if we just like kind of slowly drag through these, I guess they are kind of all close to each other. May I suggest that you change the color of the token being spoken or similar? Eventually, I will do that. But I just haven't got there yet. That is the eventual plan. So here the line break is 95. So it is like a second here. From some sort of like neural net. It's just the problem is that we're missing data. But the splitting itself, I think, is kind of working. It's just that this is a bad metric. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's shit. So there's a couple paths to go down here. One is that maybe like the fact that we're missing words here is like a major problem. You might need to pre-roll when you said to do this a couple days ago. I might need to pre-roll what? I don't remember. Maybe I didn't understand it at the time, and then I was like, maybe I just like ignored you, said, you know what you're saying. What do you mean when you say I might need to pre-roll? So there are a few options that I can think of on here. Step back a few frames. Oh, right. Yes. That was the plan, and then I never did it. But yeah, you're right. So, we are like taking some chunk of audio, and then we're taking like a second chunk of audio, and then we're just kind of like splitting it in the middle. And so like if there's like a word here, it's just like Whisper will just be like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, so there's a chance that there's a bug there. There's a chance that we are fucking up more aggressively than that, right? There's a chance that the Whisper model that we're using, I'm using like the shittiest Whisper model possible, and that might be causing like additional problems on top. So one thing that we're probably going to want to do here is like kind of overlap a little bit here, and then discard like the last n% of this thing. Although I don't really know, there's like some sort of like intelligent thing that has to, and that I feel like it's more broken than that, as you say. Yeah, I do feel like there's something else going on here. I should try like the bigger model. Yeah, we might have like kind of like jumped the gun here, where it might not make sense to try to do something like this until we know that the text generation is rock solid. But it's also hard to validate that the text generation is good when I can't like dog food the editor because it's so hard to read the text. So another thing we could try is we could just try breaking on periods that are spit out from Whisper, right? We have periods in the text somewhere. And if we tried splitting on those, maybe those are also naturally good spots to break, and then at least we can like debug the issues from that. But even this, to be honest, even though it's wrong, this is still a lot better than nothing. Because like at the very least I have like spots to like latch onto with my eyes, which are kind of useful. Are you getting any random text yet? I had some issues with nonsense output. I did have a little bit of an issue earlier today, caused by floating point resampling errors. So I was doing something stupid where I was calculating where in the thing to go to based off of I did like sample rate of the audio divided by Whisper sample rate and then multiplying in floating point space. And as I got farther and farther and farther in the audio, it got like dumber and dumber and dumber. Like got to the point where like an hour into the video, it just said it was like gunshot noises, birds chirping, dogs barking. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. So when I fixed that, and it seems like it's like, you know, this feels like okay. Into doing the cleanup stuff, which like those are like correct words. You got weird stuff with sound sliders. Okay, I'm getting like blank audio, which seems okay. Okay. So what are my options? What are my options here? It's like fix overlap of what's it called? Of segments fed to Whisper. We have upgrade model. This one's easy to try, so we might as well just do this right now. We might as well just upgrade the model right now. So we can look at, I think in Whisper CPP, I've downloaded the normal model. And I was like, we'll just like use the shittier one for now until this one works, but it looks like I lost it. So let's download their sane model again. This one is like, I think, least likely to be the problem, but also the easiest to test. You know? Oopsies. Fuck. I can't copy it like that, I guess. I want to copy this now. Copy. Paste. Okay. Give him a sec. He's got to think a little bit. Fetch from the internet. So now we have models. Base en bin, and we can try at the very least seeing if that's any better. I doubt it will be, but it's the easiest one to test for sure, so we can just make it work. Whisper large is not zillions faster than medium and small IRC. Slower, you mean? Large would be the slowest one, I would think. Where's my embed file? Oh, there's not much of a difference in speed. Oh, so it's just quality? Or, like, I guess memory usage? I would have thought that I just kind of assumed that they would be faster because, like, the size of the model is directly related to how many floating point computations it does. So I would surprised that it's not a problem. But I mean, if you've tried it, then you have more info than me. But that's surprising to me. Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back, everybody. Today we're working. Okay, let's pause this so I don't have to listen to myself, and let's just see if. Are there just no breaks happening here? Oh, because I didn't. I have to change the save file to have 0.5 in there. I forgot. So it was here, 0.5. Yo, what's up for today? Fun. So, the thought is, yeah, we're still missing the text between fun and here. Is that I can read? So we probably have to fix that buffer thing. Okay, so that's kind of this one out of the way. Fix the overlap, and then we also want to look at maybe trying split on punctuation. And then like adjusting. I guess that's kind of like the two threads I have to pull on right now. Adding more. But before we do that, we need to be able to correlate. Yeah, the fact that there's just like 10 words in there that are missed, that's gotta be it. But then again, like, that's so much time. But before we do that, we need to be able to 66. But before we do that, we need to be able to 68. So there's like a whole second of data in like 8 seconds of whisper data being fed in. So we also need to look at listen to missing areas. Listen to sections of audio that are missing text. I think this is probably where we should start, to be honest. So, okay. I think that makes sense. Okay. It is an hour 50 in, though, so we're kind of at around the 2-hour mark, and so I kind of like to call it around 2 hours, so I think I'll try to restrain myself from doing too much off stream. And by too much, I mean, I'll try to restrain myself from making any progress, because I think this will be interesting. But it's not something that I think I'm going to get done in like 15 minutes. So I think tomorrow we'll come back, and we will trying to understand why Whisper is missing stuff, and move on from there. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you like what you saw, we stream most days at around 2 o'clock Pacific time for around 2 hours. Right now we're working on this video editor, but of course there's like lots of other stuff that we've worked on as well. So if you check out the YouTube link in the Twitch description, we have all of our projects organized by playlist as well as on GitHub. So there's stuff like operating system, neural network, terminal emulator, QR code detector, like, you know, there's stuff in there if you want to go check it out. It's around. If you're watching on YouTube, there should be a Twitch link in the YouTube description. And if you're online between 2 and 4 Pacific time, you should swing by and say hi. And what else? Like, subscribe, Twitch Prime, all that. I think we're going to say bye to YouTube, and then Twitch people, let's figure out if we have someone to raid.